Good morning everyone, welcome to my channel. So today's video is working more on the fruit prompt. Now, if you recall, Susanna from Vintage Blend Studio has provided this image for the month of April in her calendar program. So this is what I've got so far. When I left you in the last video, I seed stitched down the elements, all of the different layers from the camphor quilt that we pulled apart. I cannot believe that we got all of these different fabrics from the camphor quilt. So, okay, let me back it up a bit. If you've just joined me, this is a piece of camphor quilt. It was about so big, that I bought in a pack from someone who has salvaged them from India. Now, what I did is looked for one that I thought might be the tones I wanted. So that was one side of the quilt and the pink was the other side. And if you look into the top here, that's all the layers of fabrics that the maker used when they laid them all down and then stitched them. Okay, so when I cut out the two big pairs, I then started breaking it apart to see what we got. And I was humming and hawing about whether I do an apple or not. Susanna's got a little apple here. So I was like, well, I don't really have a red camphor quilt. So we started pulling it apart and inside were two pinks. One with this red image around, the soft pink. And then this and that is another color inside. I think it's actually the top layer of this guy. And this yellow is the top layer of this. And then there was this little stripe in there as well. So super, super pleased. Now, what else did I do? Oh, I found a piece of thread for the stem of the apple. I was hunting for the one that fell out of this side, but it's gone. So I end up pulling out another thread and using that there. What else? I haven't yet stitched this down. For some reason, I keep forgetting that. So anyway, in today's video, I'd like to add more texture to everything. I also want to have a look at doing a tablecloth. So I've got a couple things here that was in my basket. I don't know if they're going to work. That is part of a big crochet doily that is in my craft room in Brisbane, and that's all I've got here. So I really had that in mind as something that I'd like to use, and I'm just wondering how I can make it go as far as I can, because that's all I got. I had in mind that I'd put a bit in the center of these. I'm wondering if I can get a slither out for there. Don't know if it needs it. Sort of overpowered that. So then I might just look at adding it to the fruit itself. I had visions of it going there, but now it's just going to be added texture where light's bouncing around on these. It's a still life of fruit, if you hadn't have guessed. Or is it just some old camphor quilt chopped up? Gee, talk about make it go places. Might just put it in the apple. Okay. Feel like it can get a bit more. That pear's not cut open, so I sort of want him to have something interesting about him. Now the tablecloth, I've got this guy, which is actually all squares, so that's not much chop to me. I don't think that's... I've got some tatting, which I've been carting around for some time. That might work. I don't know, that fell out when I was picking things out of the, and I thought, well, maybe it might be more texture I can add in over here. Picks up the stems of that. Then there's this blouse. This here might do something. Might feel like a lacy. Just going to cut that out. I don't know. We'll just see. I like the fact that this has this net and then there's a soft embroidery. It's a little singlet that I found at the op shop. And it's got this net at the top and then this lace at the bottom. I've had it for a little while and I've been nibbling at it. It was such a find because it's given me all sorts of shapes. And I love this embroidery. It's all machine done. There's nothing special about it. But it was like a little blouse, a little singlet top. It's like the gift that keeps giving. Let's have a look at this. Can we make a lacy tablecloth out of this? It's tricky when things aren't the exact shape. Don't mind that. Have to trim it a little bit. I like how that goes all the way out there on a bit of a lineal line. Was I trimming all that or do I leave it? Maybe a straight line for now. So it looks a bit like a tabletop is underneath it. Just going to soften the red too, which I don't think is a bad thing. We'll just add a little bit more interest to the bottom of our piece as well. A swoosh of a tablecloth. I like how it's going to sneak up into there. And I think I could probably nibble him out. What's it look like without that? I actually like it shorter. Yeah, okay, so I'm just going to split it. Which then gives me another piece that sometimes can come from somewhere random. Everything's random. Got it up the right way. That's better. I like that. It just sneaks across there. This is a little detail. Okay, where's my pins? Come here, ducky. Yeah, I like that. It's just a little extra something. So I'm getting to the point where I've got all the layers in place and it'll be about now getting some stitching to highlight. Oh, some of these pins are so blunt. That's it. There's the new rule. If I pick up a pin and it's blunt, it goes in the bin. They keep ending up back in my pin cushion and then I pick them up. See, there's another one. I know that's tough going there, but still. a little bit of sharpness. I know I got this bunch of pins that were just never good from the start. They're just, nasty. Okay, yeah, I'm happy with that. Now, let's get those little details stitched down. We've got time. The other thing I need to have a little think about is the leaves today as well. And I've grabbed a mitt full of green fabrics here, sort of drifting across a few different colours to try and get something that can be used as a leaf. So let's just get this little guy stitched down. The seeds, I had a look at some photographs of pears and apples cut in half, so I've got my head around the seeds, and I think I'll just use a black wool. So it'll be nice and chunky and stitch those in. There's a lot of free motion fruit where they use their sewing machine to create decorative stitching lines. Some of those were beautiful. So I'm thinking I'm going to do a similar thing just with needle and thread. I do have a sewing machine that can do it, but it's sort of packed a little bit away in the corner. And it's sort of not my thing at the moment. I bought a new machine to do that some time ago. It was around my birthday, and my husband said, "What do you want for your birthday?" "Nothing," which is the usual reply. Can't think of anything. And then I sort of thought about it. I put my old girl, which I've had since I was a pup, little Janome, has just been with me forever and has done so much. It's made quilts. It's just been great. Well, that doesn't have the ability to do free motion. There's no releasing of the gear that makes your sewing machine sew straight. So I end up getting a new sewing machine, and it's a bit fancier. It's got a computer in it that I can program things into, like patterns and things, which I thought might be fun one day. And I've used it very, very sparsely in getting my head around how to actually use it. But that was nearly 18 months ago, so I'd have to literally start from fresh again to try and get it to work, which I'm sure I'd figure it out. There's plenty of YouTube videos on it. But I was so keen to get into the free motion stitching that I really wanted to do this rabbit. So I did him, and it, oh, great, love him. He's actually on the front of the second journal that I did, I think, for the Roxy Journal of Stitchery. It's volume 1 when we were getting prompts per page and making a journal. So Bunny's on the front page of that journal, and he worked out really good. And I just have not got back since. It's just been all-consuming hand sewing and embroidery and slow stitch that, yeah. I need to pull it out one weekend and just have a play. It's finding a weekend, isn't it? I'll get back to it. I know the machine's sitting there ready to go, and I've got a little table for it that I built into my craft room in Burrum. So it's got its spot where before it was sort of sitting with its cover on, and I couldn't really access it really easily. And then the whole YouTube thing happened, and then containers of fabric and lace started sitting on top of it. So, yeah, really need to just get it out and play. Okay. Actually, I might leave the lace. That's a bit boring. I want to get this real delicate. Oh, what am I doing? Making it harder than I've knotted the two together. Start again. Start again. Got friends coming for lunch today. For me, it's Saturday. And we're up at Burrum. If you hadn't realised, my voice always sounds a bit odd in the craft room. I'm still bringing furniture up. I don't even have my table, my normal table. So it's a little bit echoey, but it's getting better. There's some rugs down and my cutting table's here, and yeah, it's coming together. It's slowly coming together. Well, we've got some friends that live in Hervey Bay that are coming for lunch. So I've been whizzing around all morning just doing a bit of a tidy up, and then you start and then you notice dust here and dust there. So you're thinking, gosh, when was the last time I actually wiped everything over? You realise it's been a while, and then you're like, well, that explains the dust. And then it's like, well, I haven't even made a coffee yet this morning. How committed am I to this dusting business? So I think I dusted one little spot, wiped it over, made my coffee, took 3 sips, sat down, and I thought, oh, I want to go stitch these pears. And that was the end of that. The coffee's sitting on the cutting table that's directly in front of my little table here. This is just a trestle table for now. So the coffee got abandoned and I'm here. Last night I threw this pile of lace next to the piece because I was stitching all of this down. Gee, I did some stitches in it. I don't know if you can see. It was that camphor quilt, look at the apple, is so delicate. I just kept going round and round and round. I was in fear that I'd touch it with my hands in the future, you know, when you do the feels nice routine, and it would just disintegrate. So I put lots of little stitches in just to make sure it doesn't fall to bits. So I'd say I've got probably 3 hours before our guests arrive for lunch. We went into town day before last and bought a few groceries. We're here for a couple of weeks. And there's a butcher outside Woolworths, and there's been a few stories recently about the behaviour of our big shopping centre, not shopping centres, well, they're not much better, but the Woolworths and Coles, the giant food duopoly, and the prices of everything, and just obscene profits they're making. Meanwhile, Australians are struggling with the cost of food because it's just, And I just picked up a few things. Admittedly, some of it's like food you wouldn't normally buy, you know, dip and biscuit pack. And then it's like a salami, but it's like a little metwurst, some cabana, as in party food. I think that was it. Maybe a little cheese, just a special little cheese to do a little platter. Everything else I had still in the cupboard left over from Christmas. Like gherkin and, you know, things like that. Anyway, I then bought, what else did I buy? A lettuce, 1 tomato. I was going to buy an onion because I'm making a steak sandwich or steak burger. Some cheese. What else was there? One of them that is coming loves ginger beer, so I bought a 12-pack of Bundaberg ginger beer. What was the other thing? It was hardly anything. It was 2 bags. It was nothing frozen. 2 avocados. Like, seriously, there is not much. 2 little baskets, 2 little carry bags, and then the pack of 12 ginger beers was in our arms as we walked back to the van. Cost me $145. Two packs of bread rolls, 6 packs of bread rolls from the bakery, and some tomato sauce. I think that was it. So nibblies, something to drink, bread rolls that I'll get a few meals. Oh, there was a small pasta salad, a small coleslaw. Yeah, that was it. $145. Like, seriously. So as I'm walking out, I'm thinking, and I'd forgotten ham because I'll have spare bread rolls, and my husband grabbed the coleslaw and pasta salad. And I thought, well, the spare bread rolls, that'll be lunches for a few days. Afterwards, I wonder if I've got ham in the freezer. Couldn't remember. Walking past the butcher that's on the outside of that Woolworths, and I thought, I'm going to spend some money with a family business. So I got some sliced ham, and it looked like a ham that you would have at Christmas, and they'd taken the rind off and it was sitting in the cabinet and they were slicing it. It was really nice. And then I was thinking, well, I didn't get anything like nibbly other than the platter. And what if I don't feel like doing the platter? And the people coming, the gentleman, he's a real meat eater. So I thought, we have some little ribs, and they had like 3 or 4 to pick from there. And I chose little pork ribs, American style. So I don't know what that's going to mean, but anyway, I've got half a kilo, maybe 3/4 of a kilo of pork ribs. So with that, and of course I don't feel like nibblies, so I will be serving the pork little riblets. I've popped them in the slow cooker this morning, so by 1 o'clock lunchtime they should be really nice and juicy and tender. And then I'll cook up a piece of steak and then slice it all up into strips and then add that to a bread roll with some basic salad. Gaz will put some coleslaw pasta salad somewhere there, which is just gross. Can't stand that stuff. Gives me a bit of bellyache, especially the pre-made stuff out of Woolies. The fresh made is pretty good, but who could be bothered? So, so it'll be a steak burger with the side of some American pork ribs, just to have a little nibble on as a bit of an entree. So I was whizzing around getting ready for that, but the steak sandwich is pretty easy. Cook that when they arrive, but the little ribs are in the slow cooker. Couldn't decide if I'd do them in the oven, then they can be a bit tough because you really got to watch it. And I thought, no, I'm going to put them in the slow cooker. They can sit there real slow on a low heat for 6 hours. They should be really nice. So that's the plan. And in the meantime, I can stitch my pears. Nearly done with these extra little bits. Then we're going to move into the leaves, I think. So looking forward to it. Last couple of days we've been all by ourselves, no visitors, no nothing. Just relaxing. It's been great. Just watching series. What did we just finish watching? It was on Netflix. Bodies. Very, very good. So it's a sci-fi, traveling through time story. And there's, the dates. I'll have them wrong for sure, so don't correct me, but it's like 1841 1941, 2000 and, I don't know. And then, I'm not sure, the one that's more recent, it's probably more our time. But the future is 2055, something like that. So there's a bad guy who's travelling back in time to set the wheels in motion for him in the future, 2055, to be a nasty piece of work, controlling everything on the planet due to actions that took place and people's being birthed to be the line of concession to get to him in the future, to be the bad guy. So in order for that to happen, he goes back to just make sure that he comes to be. Because of course, if his great-great-greats don't do what they need to do, he won't exist in the future. And he's going to have money to do it. So he goes back with the knowledge of history to invest in the stock market, into whatever he wants to raise capital for his adventure, his venture in the future. And then in amongst it, there's a little group of people from the future that want to stop him. And they discover that he's gone back. So they're also going to do things to thwart, I guess. I'm trying to not tell you too much. And then in all of those years where this bad guy is hovering around adjusting the future just a little bit to make sure that his line of lineage of money and children make it to him. There is these group of police officers, one in 1940, one a decade earlier, one a decade later, and then the modern police from the future. And they've all sort of crossing paths in some form. It's very clever, very, very clever. But boy, don't do too much stitching, because you sort of need to watch it to make sure you don't miss. Can I get this in any way? Or am I just overdoing it? I know you're all yelling at the screen going, you're overdoing it. Put it away. Put it away. Okay, I'm done. Now, let's talk. Put those little lacy bits back. Let's talk green leaves. So I've got a bit of everything here. I wasn't sure how dark and moody. This is a napkin, a little bit of check. Oh, someone's pinging me. Something bright and cheerful. And then I sort of like this, a little bit shiny. So let's make a decision. Sort of feel like I don't know. First thing, let's cut a leaf. Any scrappy bits? Of course not. Let's cut a little morsel out. Okay, let's just cut ourselves a leaf, I guess. Can't be too hard. Is it the right size? Who knows? We will know the moment we start placing it. Too big? There'll be nothing left of this. There we go. I like that. So the pear is getting a dark leaf. but I sort of feel like we could layer something over it just to make it feel a little bit more interesting. Okay, I like that. So I wonder, do we put a little bit of that over it? It's very shiny. Is this going to disintegrate if I cut that? I don't even mind the selvage. What's this look like? It's certainly holding its structure. Yeah, I like that. So that little bit of selvage is going to be the little bit of shimmer inside the leaf. That'll add an interesting little element. Okay, now this little guy. Do we do something completely different? Start with the same leaf. Slightly different shape to him. And then maybe we put a slither of this check fabric. Like that. Yeah, I like that. Okay, well that was reasonably simple. Let's put the green away. So when you're hunting for fabrics to build up your stash, look for different textures, different colours, but always have a good selection of greens, beiges, and then start looking at your favourite colours. I was seeing some comments on our little Facebook group site. You know, they're new to all this and they're wondering how they start building up fabrics. I would seriously just head straight to the op shop or the thrift store, I think you call it in some countries, and look for clothing that is a little bit interesting. Like most of that, yeah, they're pillow slips. That was a piece of fabric that obviously must have been like an evening wear that was at the op shop. The dark green that I use for this base of the leaf is, I'm sure it was a napkin or a pillow slip, and I just cut the seams out, cut the zip out, give everything a good soak, just a gentle wash, and then pop it in your cupboard. So I can see my stitches through the centre there, but that's okay because I'll find a green thread and stitch in there with some veins or some fly stitch or something. At the moment it's just a couple little stitches to hold those layers. But I think we're at the point where we've got all of our elements down. I think, she says, I'm just putting the one leaf on this pear. I'm not doing the two. I think it's enough. Oh, come on. Don't even mind if it goes a little bit sideways. It's quite effective too. Oh. What else am I up to the next few days? Oh, I've got tomorrow. Well, nothing happening Sunday. I might go looking for a market. Maybe there's a market. No, I won't, because it's searing heat. Searing heat with thunderstorms coming. It's just makes it unpleasant, doesn't it? You guys will be watching this looking outside going, no, it's actually a nice, beautiful weather because we're right into April now. Of course, I'm filming this ahead of time. So trust me, today's searing heat, the next day searing heat, thunderstorms coming. Welcome to Queensland. So for you Aussie girls, you'll be like, oh, okay, she's not current. There's a really good thrift store here in the little country town nearby, but they don't open on weekends. So I can't do that. So it might be a case of a quiet day and find another good movie. I can highly recommend Bodies if you like a good, something to think about. Like we were having discussions about it, but what about this? And then we were noticing things and we're like, oh, that's because of that. You know, there's layers of, if you just want something mindless that you don't have to think too much, don't watch it. But if you feel like sitting there, I think there's 10 episodes. There's another one I want to watch too. Something Sun, S-U-N, Mother's Son, or it's a story about a woman who is a gangster or runs a gang. So, and I don't think her son realises, or one son does, the other doesn't. I'm just going on the shorts. I haven't actually watched it. So I said to my husband, I said, that's the next one I want to watch that one. Sort of feel like I could bring down a piece of lace down here, but I don't know if I've got any with me. Is there any morsels in here that could be? I had this out the other day, but it's very big. Sorta not right. I may have to go look further. All right, I think my elements are all there, and I think I need to stitch and set myself up with some homework that I can use. There's this vintage thread that I found, I think. A little bit off-white, which I think is good. And what I want to do is start doing some highlight stitching. 40 minutes, we're cruising. We'll start in the center, and it's going to be a case of little stitches to just help build the shape of the fruit. Right, little top stitches. The other thing I might do is find black, and we'll get the seeds in place. This will help hold that very, very fine pieces. I wonder if I could be bold and do like a fly stitch, a real little fly stitch. What would that look like? Just as a little decorative element to our little guy. Completely doesn't make sense, but not fly stitch, feather stitch is this one. Just to add interest. Gee, that's twisty. It's cordage. So that's going to be pleasant to stitch with, isn't it? Yeah, I like that. Wonder what other little, have to look out some more stitches, like a herringbone stitch might be nice on the pear, because it's such a long lineal line. Yeah, I like that. It just makes it feel a little bit more decorative. Might just leave it as just that. Instead of doing the obvious and doing a ring around, I'm just going to leave it at that. And then maybe I continue on with a little running stitch like I did before. Oh boy, stay threaded, you darn needle. Get so carried away with the stitches that I forget where my fingers are. And okay. Yeah, I like that. So a bit of a mix of stitches looks like it's going to happen here. You know, I'm thinking I'm going to stay with this same colour for the leaves. There we go, just made it. I shall get some new thread. I'm going to head up to those leaves. Now, look, I'm going to stay on the apple. I just had another idea. So this is a number 20. It's a good colour. It's a dirty cream colour. Haven't used it a lot. I usually go for an ecru, not a caramelly. But I just feel like this needs more of a soft, muted look. I wonder, I might do maybe some stab stitch is what I'm thinking, like overcast stitch. And I'm doing it on the same side as that feather stitch. So it's sort of like heavily embellished to this side of the apple, but then thins out that side with just a running stitch is what I'm thinking. I could also do some beads. maybe I'll get all this decorative stitching down, and then I'll come back in the next video with beads and we'll do some embellishing with beads. I think I can just picture clusters and lines of them layering on top of all this again. I think it'll make it quite interesting. Okay, so now I'm going to start a running stitch again. So I've got a little bit of whip stitch or overcast stitch there. And then I'll do running stitch next. Oh, come on. I need the thread to settle down a bit. It can disappear up into there. I'm okay with that. I'd end it. I feel like I need to do a bit of that stitch over there. I know I said I was going to stay on that side, but changed my mind. Just going with the flow, putting some I've got Jennifer Clouston's books with me, so I might be able to look through those, especially the one that does all of the decorative stitches on patched together fabric. And there might be something in there I can utilise. Now I'm back to running stitch, I'm thinking. The running stitch is good because it still emphasises the shape of the apple. So that's that layer. Do I need another line of stitching for the final outside layer? I'm actually thinking not. I think we've got enough detail to show the shape. Maybe we do something with beads out there, I don't know. Who knows, but there we go. Now, I just want to, I know I was going to go to the leaves, so I want to grab some black wool. Let's have a Google of apples cut in half. Half apple seeds. Images. Okay, so you can sort of see two, and then there's a bit of a dark spot. Now remember, ours are stylised, so they're certainly not going to look as, need a thick needle, thickish, well, big eye to hold this. The apple seeds seem to hang down. Let's have a go. I'm thinking of a lazy daisy stitch. Nice big generous seeds, so we know what's going on with them. And then I might fill it in with a stitch. goodness, talk about being difficult. Alrighty, another lazy daisy stitch. And then don't even mind it just open, you know. Maybe I can make it look open. Don't even mind that. Instead of just a black blob. Don't mind that. One stitched a little and one stitched. Yeah, I like that. It's very loose. Not so black and dense. Got one that's open and one that's half stitched. Yeah, I like that. Do we put a line up the middle? There seems to be a bit of a line. I might, while I've got this black thread, I might just Google pear. And see. Okay, so they too hang down. Let's get these guys stitched in. Two little seeds. I feel like I might end up with a little bit of, say, chocolate thread and do a little bit of stitching around them. We'll see how it comes together. I feel like there could be, come on, don't knot. We're at a critical junction here and you're going to knot. I'm going to do the same, put another stitch in there but not have it completely closed. I might do the same this side. So there's still that little bit of white peeking through. Yeah. Alrighty. I could even find some form of texture that could be put through. I might be able to achieve it with stitching. Let's go back to that apple. I feel like I need some stitches. Oh, come on, thread the needle, will you? It's a tiny little hole. It's probably way too tiny, but we'll get there. I sort of feel like I need a little bit of, I don't know, stitching. Just a bit of rough triangular to denote that there's a bit of a, I don't know what I'm trying to do. There's like a discoloration through the centre there that these seeds are sitting in. So I'm just going to put some random stitches there. Probably no one will ever notice them, but I feel like I need to. Just to give it a little bit of, there's something going on there. through the centre of this apple. The seed should probably be a little bit higher, but anyway, we're stylised, remember? Picasso's apples looked weird, didn't they? So it's just a little line of stitching going right through there, just to show that there's a discoloration heading down to that seed, is what I'm thinking. I'll do the same on the pear, because there's like this, we've got our circular shape, but I just feel like there's this vein coming through. And I don't really want to bring in a brown or something. Just leave it as just a cluster of stitches coming down there. That's good. Happy with that. See? Just needed the little detail. All right. I'll work on those pears. Now I just want to have a play with these leaves. So just thinking, ow. Some form of stitch. Yeah, we'll do a fly stitch. I was never going to do a feather stitch, but the width of my space is not real big. So I'm just going to overlay a little fly stitch, just to give the little bit of detail. Like so. Come on. Up you come. There we go. Just enough thread to pull it off. There we go. So that will work. How are we going for time, guys? Oh gosh. How does it seriously go so quick? Oh well. I shall toddle off. I just feel like that maybe I could be a bit braver up the centre there with some more lace. Was there any scrap left from that little piece we were picking at? No. Oh, there's a little something. A little thread. Oh, I'm going to stitch that onto there. There you go. Just something different to that, but denotes that there's a bit of a seam there, I guess, that those little seeds are coming to. Okay. I like how it's wiggly. Don't even think about ripping that off. Goodness me. The stem on the apple, I don't think's bold enough. So I might look at maybe bringing out a brown and couching over it with a bit of a whip stitch or something. Just needs something a little bit bolder. You just never know what thread's lying around. Yeah, I like that. What thread's lying around your desk can be used to stitch onto your work. Sort of hilarious. Yeah, just needed that defining line. I should be going, but it's only a minute past. I'm just going to have a look. I feel like that you can't even see the stem, so therefore the leaf doesn't make sense. So I'm just going to thread up a little bit of brown. Come on. Don't rush, girl. It's all good. Those who were sick of sitting and watching have long gone. The rest of you are busy stitching. Now, what I'm thinking is I do a bit of a catching the fabric below, just because the thread I used, it's the same as this guy here, could disintegrate, because at the end of the day it's just a thread that's come out. Yeah, that's better. It's a thread that's come out of a piece of fabric, that piece of fabric. What's two threads, a longer one and a shorter one. So I'm going to use the fabric below to help stabilize it all, because I'd hate to go through the whole winding the chocolate thread through it and that disintegrates on me. Plus I like the fact that I can still see a little bit of the thread underneath, so it's giving me a bit of a two-tone effect, which is rather sweet. That's going to make it stand out, because it was just a bit lost. It blended with the background too much. It's like I'm cautious and then I get bolder and bolder sometimes. It's like I'll just do this, but no, it's not quite right. So then I go bolder. Are you guys the same? Your choice is always a little bit cautious. Then you come back through and layer up again or stitch up again, or it's probably pretty natural. Okay, that's better. Yeah, really good. And then I can put my, just coming back down, probably pop an extra leaf on that. Got plenty of space for it. So you're getting bold again. That's good. That worked. Let's just make that pop a little bit more. Let's add another leaf, guys. Why not? We're just talking about how we're being bold. Oh boy, oh boy. So I can put that chocolate away. I better toddle off too. I've lost track of time a little bit. Just cut a little slither of this out. Then I promise I will let you go. Where did I get it from? There. Just a little bit's all we need. It's a bit fat. Trim it down a little bit more. Just a little smidgen. Done. Love it. Just needed a little bit extra. All right, guys. I will stitch my little leaf down. Toddle off. I'll do some decorative stitching around the centre of this pear. And then have a think about it. Ponder. I love that knot there. That's a knot coming from the stitches that are holding down the camphor quilt layers. I just think that's gorgeous. Such a big chunky thing. Okay, all right. I'm gonna go, otherwise you'll be here for another 10 minutes. Look after yourselves, have a lovely day, and yeah, be kind to yourself. Bye.